little bit different of a video. We are at a local steakhouse for a special event. We're at Bennethums in Gaelic, Michigan, and we've not been here, but my parents are obsessed. So tonight we're doing a double date for their... Sometimes filming in public sucks. Okay, we're doing a double date for Wild Game and Craft Beer event, and there's going to be a representative from Cheboygan Brewing Company. It's actually the brewing master, Brian Linsey. He's going to be doing 5 craft beer pairings with 5 courses of Wild Game. I don't know what the menu is yet, but I'm pretty excited, so we're going to go in.
Juicy Tree by Schwartz.
Which you've never had. I don't think I've had that. No, and then I got Pigeon Hill
oatmeal
cream pie, which I've had before and I like a lot. Okay, so we're in the private sitting area right now for the event, and we have a little menu, and so they have craft beer that's actually on tap, which we just were at the bar, so it's the same ones that's on tap at the bar.
They paired the beers to the...
But well, not really, because...
These aren't Cheboygan beers, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the Cheboygan beers they're supposed to be trying, there's 5 courses. There is Mishu duck spring rolls, which is an appetizer, sauteed Springbrook salmon, elk meatball, charred royal Michigan venison loin, and of course there's sides for each of the things I'm mentioning, and then homemade salted maple bourbon cheesecake. And they're regarded for their homemade desserts, so I'm sure that's amazing and it sounds really good. It's supposed to be 5 beers that line up with those dishes. So that's kind of cool.
Really
My parents are running, not late because we're early, but later than us. You look pretty dapper today.
Well, I try to be dapper.
You're what?
If I had some leather on my elbows, I think that would look more dapper.
I think so too.
Early on in the process, Josh and I start talking about how can we bring big, bold Michigan beers, but not overwhelming flavors of food. So right away we start thinking about Wild Game and how we can compare those food flavors. So today we're going to have all 5 courses are going to be paired with a Wild Game inspired plate. We're also going to do something really unique. Normally when you taste a flight of beers, you start with a low, light beer and then increase into intensities. Because we've got this really bold flavored food, it allows us to really mess with how we want to present these beers. A 9.5% ABV IPA.
You won't like it.
So right off the bat, we're coming with the big beer. When we were looking through it, we saw all these seasonal beers. And the one that said Michigan to us the most.
Okay, so the first beer that we have here is the Juicy Tree, which is ironically what Dana ordered from the bar. So this is pairing with our appetizer, which is on its way. Right now we have this really, really delicious bread with dipping oil, and it is Mishu duck spring rolls, garlic scallion soy reduction, toasted sesame, and artisan greens. That's what this is.
So Renee doesn't have full the duck spring rolls.
So you've had a little bit of the appetizer, and now what do you say about the way that the flavor profile has transformed?
The spruce tips kind of mute down a little bit because they tie in with the duck soil.
It's more subtle. It's sweeter.
It's much more subtle.
It's less bitter.
A little bit sweeter. Tastes more, I guess subtle and muted is the way I would describe it.
It goes well together. Sometimes you have something...
Very well together. Very well together.
I think the beer's too strong for me.
It is, but what do you think about the food?
I love the food.
Well, if you had to describe it for someone who isn't here, how would you describe
I
it?
taste a little bit of fishiness to it. It's almost like an oriental fish.
Yeah.
Is what I get out of it. With the greens, I ate mine with the greens, and I really enjoyed the greens mixed in with the spring roll.
Mom doesn't like Wild Game, so this is interesting for her. She's dealing through it, she's chewing, she's eating, but she's not excited about it. She doesn't like beer and she doesn't like Wild Game. But, you know, she's hanging in. We have our next beer. The next one is a collaboration with Cheboygan and Snowbelt. For those of you who have been watching for a long time, we went to Snowbelt on Valentine's Day and we did not like them. So this is, I guess, going to be kind of a redemption. It's called Reckless Restraint. He said it smells musty and bitter. My dad said it's sweet and fruity. fruity though. So go ahead and taste it, babe. Go ahead and taste it. It's very pretty. It's deep, deep red. It almost looks like a
Kind of
berry drink. Yeah.
style.
Dad would like it then. That's why. Well, let's see once the food pairing comes.
Just to start, we'll take it easy. So the second course, we've got a beer called Reckless Restraint. This was brewed at Snowbelt in collaboration with Cheboygan Brewing. So I had my hand in this beer. We wanted to create something kind of special and different and on trend with the modern beers coming out. So right away we were drew to kettle sours. Kettle sours are when you infect the beer on purpose with a specific strain of bacteria to add a sour flavor. And then we boil off the beer to kill that bacteria and then ferment it over a brewer's yeast. So for this beer we fermented over a Hefeweizen yeast. It's got some really nice phenols that pick up in the nose, a little bit of that clove aroma. We also fermented over blackberries to kind of give it that wild flavor to pair with our meal today. This is getting paired with a rainbow trout dish. The acid's really nice in this beer to cut through that buttery wine sauce. So when you try those, you'll notice how well that pairs together. And like I said, we're kind of going on a roller coaster of these big beers with lower ABVs. So this one comes in at a nice 3.8%, a nice drinking beer. Not too overly flavored, but a nice clean sour flavor. Nice. Guys, cheers.
So when I first tried the beer, it's very salty, very briny. It's very tart. It's a sour, and like you saw in the clip that he was talking about of the brewmaster, it's a Hefeweizen yeast style, so it's not really up my alley. But now that I've had a couple of bites of food, I'd like to taste it again to see if it's different.
You like the fish?
It is. That's amazing. It's like more juicy and more sweet. It's still tart, it's still sour, but it's no longer salty. So it's perfect pairing. I like it more. We have an elk meatball, and then we have a mango peach IPA. I actually like this one. It's not too bitter, more sweet, but I'm interested to see how it transforms after I eat a little bit. So we'll get back to you.
Try it with the beer yet?
I drank the beer, I tried the food, then I drank the beer again, and it tastes more bitter, more zippy, more citrusy than it did. It was actually smoother before the meal, but it accentuated the hops a little bit
You know
more.
what it is? It's the leeks.
Slightly
It marries itself with the leeks. I have more leeks. I taste the beer. Let's just add a very small amount.
Grab your attention
Just
real
so I
quick.
think it marries itself.
So this whole menu, we tried
Interesting.
picking beers that were on trend and really reflected what the current market is. So one of the fastest growing beers right now is milkshake IPAs. They're East Coast IPAs, meaning they're really juicy IPAs. They're not as bitter. And then they're brewed with vanilla, lactose, and generally a fruit. And what the lactose does is adds a lot of sweetness and backbone to the beer. So you get that milkshake, that really full, satisfying beer flavor, but without the intensity and the bitterness that you would expect out of an IPA. So this one we're pairing with the elk meatball, and it's got a really nice IPA glaze on there. I want you to pick out some of the tropical notes and taste how that goes with the richness of the elk meatball. Cheers.
Here we have right here.
4.5%. Kind of give your palate a break and really let this venison loin shine through.
Yep.
So cheers, I'll be around for any questions.
It's actually a small portion, but it's just stuffing me. I want room for the maple.
One of the hottest dessert beers. This one's pretty hard to find and brings long lines when they bring it to festivals. This is OCP, or oatmeal cream pie. It was invented out of a challenge from the brewer's wife. She went to the brewer and said, "Can you brew a beer that tastes like an oatmeal cream pie?" And, his words are through spice, marshmallow stuff, and oats. He's created this wonderful beer. So you'll notice the complexity, the layer of flavors, the spices, and Josh was able to really add more depth and more complexity by pairing it with this salted maple bourbon cheesecake. So enjoy.
We are leaving. Very stuffed, very full. I feel like I have to waddle. 5 beers, they were full pours, they weren't just tasters.
I couldn't even drink half of them.
Yeah, like it was so cool to talk to the brewmaster from Cheboygan. We had a lot of really great one-on-one conversation with him. Really nice guy. I'm excited to go to Cheboygan Brewing and to reach out to him specifically. His name is Brian Linsey. Really nice guy. Great tasted sweaters. But hope you guys enjoyed this wild game event with us. Have a wonderful night and cheers.